Okay, welcome. Welcome everyone to session number 320 of Kevin Reed's A Course in Miracles. Today we are in the Workbook for Students, Part 2, and we will focus on question number 11. What is creation? As I was looking over this question, it just strikes me that how much elaboration could you do? Could I do anyway? This is something I would recommend that you read this and really read it with the intention of thinking about it and just meditating on any of the statements that it makes. All right, these are very lofty statements. All right, trying to explain something that, try to put into words, all right, something that is ineffable. It's just indescribable. To put words on it would limit it. But we are in this condition where words are useful, and they're certainly plentiful, all right? And we need words mostly to communicate ideas and whatnot, all right? That's why he says the Course is presented in an ego framework, right? And one of the things within the ego framework is the use of words. So this is one of the meanings of presentation of the ego's framework. But it is just, it's an exquisite idea. It's mind-expanding concepts, okay? All right. And, as is my wont, I try to explain the unexplainable, okay? Here we go. What is creation? Creation is the sum of all God's thoughts, in number infinite, and everywhere without all limit. Only love creates, and only like itself. There was no time when all that it created was not there, nor will there be a time when anything that it created suffers any loss. Forever and forever are God's thoughts exactly as they were and as they are, unchanged through time and after time is done. God's thoughts are given all the power that their own Creator has, for He would add to love by its extension. Thus, His Son shares in creation and must therefore share in power to create. What God has willed to be forever one will still be one when time, remaining as it was before the thought of time began. Right? Creation is the opposite of all illusions, for creation is the truth. Creation is the Holy Son of God, for in creation is His will complete in every aspect, making every part container of the whole. Its oneness is forever guaranteed inviolate, forever held within His holy will, beyond all possibility of harm, of separation, imperfection, and of any spot upon its sinlessness. We are creation. We are the sons of God. We seem to be discreet and unaware of our eternal unity with Him. Yet back of all our doubts, past all our fears, there still is certainty. For love remains with all its thoughts, its sureness being theirs. God's memory is in our holy minds, which know their oneness and their unity with their Creator. Let our function be only to let this memory return, only to let God's will be done on earth, only to be restored to sanity, and to be but as God created us. Our Father calls to us. We hear his voice, and we forgive creation in the name of its Creator. Holiness itself, whose holiness his own creation shares, whose holiness is still a part of us. Okay. It's very lofty. As I say, I recommend reading it as many times as you want, as many times as you can, and feel yourself being lifted above this melee outside here. All right? This chaos. So what is creation? All right. Creation is the sum of all God's thoughts. The sum of all of God's thoughts. The all that is. The expanse. It's the sum of all his thoughts, and it's infinite in number. Right? Infinite amount of expansive thought, loving thought, and everywhere without all limit. Only love creates. So our source, okay, God, whatever word you want to use to try to describe it, to limit, remember it puts a limit on the Creator, all right? But Jesus is telling us here, only love creates. And we're not talking about the type of love that we encounter or that we think of as love here within the earth experience, the experience of form. Right? Only love creates. And it only creates like itself. So our source is love. God is love. Right? And that source only creates just like itself. It replicates. And we are the replication. We are love. There was no time when all that it created was not there. All right? So if you're reading this, remember every time you see that word it, it's referring to love, to God, to the source, all right? To God's thoughts. So only love creates and only like itself. There was no time when all that it created was not there. Everything has always been there. All right? And that everything is love. It's a gigantic, infinite, ever-expanding thought of love, replicating itself. Nor will there be a time when anything that it created suffers any loss. So, as the Catholic prayer used to go, glory be to the Father and to the Son and to the Holy Ghost, as it was in the beginning, all right, is now, and ever shall be. That's what Jesus is basically telling us here. As it was in the beginning, there was only love. And that's all there was. And that's the way it is now, he's telling you. And that's the way it's going to be forever. It can't diminish. It can't be taken away. It can't suffer any loss. That's our true existence. Right? And the way to get to that realization is by chipping away at it, questioning our existence here, what we think is our existence here, what we think is true. Right? And in the year 2025, it's very challenging. I experience it as very challenging. Right? Where the ego part of my mind is telling me, oh yeah? Well, you think this is an illusion? And I notice myself reacting to things in the world. I mean, every aspect of my world. You know, my personal world, you know, within the confines of my house, my town, my city, my country, the world. Right? It seems to be very challenging. Right? But it's a good time to remember who you truly are. Forever and forever are God's thoughts exactly as they were and as they are, unchanged through time and after time is done. All right, after we wake up from this. Excuse me. Paragraph 2. God's thoughts are given all the power that their own Creator has. So God's thoughts, they emanate from the source, and they have all the power that their own Creator has. They're the same, except they did not create themselves. All right, that's why we say in the study of the Course that Jesus keeps reminding us that the mind is very powerful. All right, because it was created just like the Creator. All right? That's why there's, little statements like all thoughts produce form on some level. Right? We don't want to just ponder that. We don't need to go into a Stephen Hawking kind of conversation on that. But it's mind expanding. It's mind boggling. All right? God's thoughts are given all the power that their own Creator has. For He would add to love by its extension. So we have love creating a loving thought, which creates a loving thought, and it just extends throughout the infinite expanse. Thus, His Son shares in creation. Thus, His Son, right? And we are all part of that one Son, right? Your mind is part of that, right? So your mind shares in that creation, that expansion of love. Because He would add to love by its extension. Right? Thus His Son shares in creation and must therefore share in power, in the power to create. Right? The mind is very powerful. So we share in that power to create. What we experience with our senses and with our bodies and everything that comes along with the world is miscreation. I believe we ran into that word last week. Right? But I remember Dr. Wapnick's wife, Gloria, would always make sure that people knew the difference between creation, which is the extension of love, and miscreation, which is the shenanigans of the ego. Right? So, but the mind is very powerful. Thus, His Son shares in creation and must therefore share in power to create. What God has willed to be forever one will still be one when time is over. Right? So after this dream of separation is over, right, everything will still be one. And it still is one as this dream is going on. Remember, He says that You are at home in God, dreaming of exile. All right? So the extension of love, creation, is still going on. It's just that we're dreaming. All right? We think we separated. All right? That's the one problem. One problem, one solution is to remember you never separated. And we get to that point by being willing to see the innocence of others. Okay. So, nothing will be changed throughout the course of time. Remaining as it was before the thought of time began. Creation is the opposite of all illusions, for creation is the truth. Creation is the Holy Son of God, for in creation is His will complete in every aspect, making every part container of the whole. Its oneness is forever guaranteed inviolate, forever held within His holy will, beyond all possibility of harm, of separation, of imperfection, and of any spot upon its sinlessness. Right? These are powerful, powerful sentences, powerful thoughts. Right? Creation is the opposite of what we're experiencing here, the illusion, because creation is truth. Once again, we're using words. But when I say I'm willing to see the truth about this person, I'm willing to see the truth. I'm willing to be corrected. Right? That means I'm willing to reestablish my communication with creation. I'm willing to see the truth. And creation is the Holy Son of God. For in creation, His will is His will complete in every aspect. So, within the realm of creation, our will is completed because our will is the same as God's. It's only to create, to extend love everywhere, to expand it. Okay. Its oneness is forever guaranteed inviolate. Right? There is only the oneness. We staunchly believe that we separated and broke the oneness. Right? As Dr. Wapnick would say, as long as you can see yourself in that mirror every morning, so there's a good chance you still believe in the separation. And so we go out and become happy learners, all right, to learn that we're not separated from the oneness. Right? And it just harkens back to the first statement, basically, of the Course. All right? Nothing real can be threatened. This is what he's talking about. The oneness is forever guaranteed inviolate. You can't threaten the oneness. All right? And then he says, as a matter of fact, nothing unreal exists. And in that realization is the peace of God. And that's what we're working toward here. We're moving forward toward that. Once the journey has begun, the end is certain. All right. So the oneness is guaranteed forever. All right. Beyond all possibility of harm, beyond the possibility of separation. You can't separate from it. All right. And beyond the possibility of imperfection or any spot upon its sinlessness. Your innocence is guaranteed. You can't change it. You can only believe you changed it. You can only believe that there's something wrong with you, that you're lacking something. You're not this, you're not that. All right. Or you're to this or to that. That's not it. There's no spot upon your sinlessness. Can't be. And then you see Jesus uses the pronoun we. All right. We are creation. He includes himself with us. We are the same. All right. Remember what he got in trouble for saying is, I and the Father are one, and the things that I do, you will do. All right? We are creation. You could just think about that and rise up above the battleground. We are creation. We, the sons of God. We, the offspring of love. We seem to be discrete. In other words, we seem to be separate, different people. Okay? And unaware of our eternal unity with him. Yet back of all our doubts, right? And back of all the doubts, past the fears, there still is certainty. All right? Deep down inside the mind, there is that certainty of who we are. We remember. It's like a little treasure box, all right? And the map to get there is forgiveness, all right? We seem to be discreet and unaware of our eternal unity with him. All right? We seem to be unaware of it, all right? Because we split off from it and we forgot. Yet back of all our doubts, past all the fears, there still is certainty. For love remains with all its thoughts. Right? Capital, its thoughts, capitalized. Love remains with all its thoughts. It's in our mind. Its sureness is ours. It's all of ours. It's certain. It's a certainty. Okay? For love remains with all its thoughts, its sureness being theirs. God's memory is in our holy minds, which know their oneness and their unity with their Creator. All right? The memory of God, the memory of love, the memory of who we are is in our mind. Okay. That's one of the things, the statements in the Course. He goes, forget this world, let it go. Forget this course, right? And come with wholly empty hands, empty arms unto your God. Just lay it all down. All right? Just lay it all down. And sit in the communication with love. And the memory of love will rise. It will rise. All right? Being a child of the 60s, all of a sudden I'm thinking of Candles in the Rain, all right? There was a very, very famous and inspirational song in the 60s by, was it Melanie? All right. Very inspirational. All right. Just lay down, right? Just lay it all down. Let the white dove rise up. Very, very beautiful song, and it's coming to my mind now, 60 years later, or whatever, 55. As we say in New York. So, here we go. He says, let our function be only to let this memory return. That's our function. Let the memory of our relationship with love return. Right? And we do that by practicing forgiveness. Noticing I'm projecting guilt. I don't want to do that. I'm willing to see the truth. Right? I'm willing to let that memory of love and innocence return. All right? So let our function be only to let this memory return. That's what we're doing here. Right? What's it all about, Alfie? Another song. That's what we're doing here. Let our function be the return of that memory. Only to let God's will be done on earth. Only to be restored to sanity. Only to let God's will be done on earth, only to be restored to sanity, and to be but as God created us. All right? To be restored to sanity instead of the insanity that we wade through every day. All right? With little oases of what we think is fun or pleasure or rest even. All right? Let our function be only to let this memory of love return. Okay. Only to let God's will be done on earth. Right? Only to be restored to sanity. And to be but as God created us. Expanding, expansive thoughts of love. That's how you were created. And that's what you will return to. That's what they should do on Ash Wednesday now. All right? Instead of telling you that you're going to die, you're going to return to dust. They should just have a little sticker or something of light or something and put it on your forehead. Remember, you are love. Right? And unto love you will return. Right? Remember, you are love. And unto love you will return. And in the last paragraph, he says, our Father calls to us. We hear his voice and we forgive creation in the name of its creator. Holiness itself, whose holiness his own creation shares, whose holiness is still a part of us. Okay. You recall, if you're a student of the text, excuse me, Jesus over and over again talks about the process of forgiveness until we see the face of Christ, which is the symbol of forgiveness, and remember God. That's the idea here. We hear his voice. We forgive creation. And Dr. Wapnick's wife would say, miscreation. All right. We forgive what we think we have created. All right. We forgive it in the name of the Creator. Holiness itself, whose holiness his own creation shares, whose holiness is still a part of us. All right. We forgive, we see the face of Christ, and remember God. All right. The face of Christ is a symbol of the the awareness of innocence. And at that moment, we remember God. Right? We remember we're not separated. We remember that we are expansive and expanding creations of love. Right? Born of the original thought of love. Right? Whose holiness is still a part of us. Right? We are creation. All right? Jesus, hey, we're all together. We are creation. We are heaven itself. We are the sons of God. Right? Please forgive the constant use of masculine pronouns. Right? This was 50 years ago. Right? Using languages of many ancient texts which always used masculine pronouns. But it includes everybody. It would be silly to even think that way, that you're not included. All right? Everyone, no matter what gender costume you have on, all right, everyone is deep down inside a part of the sonship. You're a part of love itself. And it's wonderful to think of that as you're communicating in any way during the course of your day, right? With the most trivial meetings to communicating with your most significant people in your life. We're communicating with spirit that has taken on a form, believing it's separated from love. And they're only going to say two things, right? Please tell me I'm not separated from love, or allow me to extend love to you. It's the only things they're going to tell you. All right. As I say, you can read this and dwell on it. It's very uplifting. All right. Let it, as Dr. Wapnick would say, let it wash over you. All right. Creation is the sum of all God's thoughts. And we are creation. All righty then. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next question. Bye now.